Hello and welcome to the first of two vlogs of a little trip down here to Sheffield and Nottingham, and the first of these is Gulliver's Valley in Sheffield. I'm looking forward to getting on. There's 3 different coasters. There's also a dark ride, as well as that there's an inverting gyro swing, so I'm looking forward to see what forces that pulls, and to have such a thrilling ride at a kids park. It's going to be fantastic. The coasters, there's a little SPF Visa race coaster. There's also a caterpillar or wacky worm, and there's a Zamperla Minnie Mouse as well. The dart ride, it's a little tracked dart ride in the Wild West themed section. There's also a water slide here, a little dinghy slide as well. And the dinosaur theming, and that's obviously the same as the gyrosaur, which is the inverting gyro swing. So I'm looking forward to getting in. It's going to be a nice family park, but it'll be interesting to see what the coasters and the gyro swing are going to be like. A little bit of there it is. Oh, that was quite interesting. Little first attraction in Monster Mansion. I love the little animatronic eye and the tentacles on the front. But there's quite a few different scenes in there. And then you've got these little cartoon, little cute little monsters, little UV paint on the walls as well. But I love some of the scenes in there. Quite detailed, obviously, with the skeletons, Grim Reapers, and even the little tentacles in the bath at the end as well. Really quite long as well. You've got loads of different scenes to have a good look at inside as you're going through. You've got the little graveyard scenes, and yeah, really good that was. And I didn't really expect it to be as long as it was as well.
Can we see everyone's funky chickens? Are we ready? Are we ready, Gully and Jenny? Meat locals with Jilly. Okay, so what am I doing? The tambourine. Seriously, Jilly. Can't I have something really cool like the drums? No, I can't, but... Okay, fine, Jilly. I'm excited, this is fun. Are we all ready for the first song of our concert? Are you ready, Gully?
So just come off of the carousel. It was nice. Not too long of a cycle, I don't think, but it was nice to just take in some views of some of the other rides around the park. It's nice they've got this open. It is like sort of the centrepiece of the park. Obviously right next to Lilliput Lane where the monster house is, and that was a nice first attraction. And it's nice that there's a couple of attractions actually open, because the rest of the park hasn't actually opened yet. I'm hoping to get onto the Gears Grand Prix Racers coaster next. But that was a nice second ride to just have a look at some of the other rides around the park. And also they've got the entertainment on as well, with Gully and Jilly obviously in the background of that as well. So I could sort of see that going on in the background of as well as some of the other rides.
Next bit, you need to listen to the words. So he's going to tell you what to do. Are we ready? And this next bit, we're going to start by clapping our hands and stamping our feet. We're going to roll our arms and down.
We've just come off of Grand Prix Racers, my first coaster of the day. It's a new credit for me, this one. I was quite impressed with it because it's quite tall actually, and the views you get from the top are really good because it's sort of, obviously it's Gulliver's Valley, and there's sort of a valley, and you can see quite a nice view from at the top of that helix, and it does pick up some speed, especially as you come around that, coming into the bank turn up there, the upwards bank turn. Really whippy actually, because you get some really good lateral forces on it as well, where you get pushed into the side of your seat as you're coming to the bottom of the helix. Fantastic 2 laps, but because it was so quiet, actually the first ride of the day on it, so got 4 laps because I got sent round again, so that was really good. And yeah, fantastic first coaster of the day and first major ride here really. I've just come off of Rocky Ridge Railway, another little coaster here. This one, it's a Zamperla Minnie Mouse, and it's pretty good that, especially near the end, you do actually get some decent lateral sort of pull sideways on some of the turns on there. It's quite slow for the first bit, but then you do sort of pick up some speed as you go down. There's very small little drops on there, bring you down. It just gradually builds up some speed to get some little lateral bits at the end. But I think it is probably the smallest coaster here and the least intense, but it's not too bad. It's some little lateral forces near those last few turns. Just come off of Tombstone Mine, which is the dark ride over here, also in the Wild West themed area along with Rocky Ridge Railway. It's quite well themed. There's a lot to look at. There's a lot of like skeletons in mining helmets. But you've even got these sort of decapitated heads, and there's like these little mummies like wrapped in barbed wire as well. Where you got like miners in there. It's quite immersive actually, because the theme is not too bad in there. Like you got sort of rock work on the walls and like wooden beams. It's all themed to a mine, but I really like that. It's a nice sort of short little tracked ride. All the cars are really nicely themed with like the little mine carts, and then you get a lot of sort of skeletons and miners and things in there to look at, and there's just so many different props and theming in there. It's really good. I've just come off of my third and final coaster here, the Wriggler, which is a classic caterpillar or wacky worm attraction. It was a fun coaster that. It's really smooth, but it is actually new for this year, this coaster. And it's really good actually, because I was on the back car, so you really get pulled down the drop. You even get pulled down the little sort of bumpy section up there where you get the sort of tiny little bunny hops. I even got pulled into the first one of those as well on the back, but the drop, even a little bit of ejector airtime on there, with that sort of airtime sensation as well, as you kind of get pulled down from like the end of that turnaround as you go down the drop, but as you actually go down the drop on the back, you get a little bit of ejector airtime, which is quite fun. Along with that, 3 laps, great. Obviously do get 2 laps on the other 2 coasters. Obviously I got 4 on Grand Prix races because it was quiet, got sent round for another cycle of 2 laps, so that meant it was 4 laps. But this is 3 laps, so that means it's a really long cycle anyway, and it's fantastic on the back row. Really good coaster that was. I've just come off of the gyrosaur here in Lost World, and that's definitely the main sort of thrill ride here. It's a great flat ride. Wasn't too long of a cycle. It was quite a slow swing, so it doesn't mean that you get that much force going through there. But what is fantastic about it is the fact that it swings slow, so you get the hang time. Especially at the end of the cycle, there was a moment of just pure hang time, completely inverted. As well as that, it does get going quite quick. That angle, it does sort of get going vertical pretty quickly. So it does mean that the cycle is quite fast paced with the different sections to it, obviously, where it just get going quite quick vertically, and then it goes all the way around, so you're inverted, and you do get sort of pushed into the restraint as you're upside down on there. Really fantastic, and I think it's a great signature sort of thrill ride for this park as well. It fits in perfectly, as much as it is obviously a major thrill ride in what's more of a family or kids park, but it just provides some great hang time as you're actually upside down for quite a long time on there, which is fantastic. I've just come off of the Lost World River tour, and it was quite a nicely themed ride. There's a lot of movement with the animatronic dinosaurs around it, and in that egg, just behind there, there's a little animatronic dinosaur band with a lot of movement. There's some really good animatronics on here, actually. There's a lot of different colourful, vibrant dinosaurs, animatronics. But yeah, definitely that band at the end. It's like a sort of finale as you come round into the station. It's really relaxing as well, really nice chilled out ride. Obviously you've got the sound of the water in the background as well, as you sort of go around the back. It's quite open as well, around some of the scenes, and yeah, it's really nicely themed, and definitely a nice sort of relaxing ride after coming off of the gyrosaur. So yeah, you just get to see quite a bit of movement with these animatronic dinosaurs. Just come off of T-Rex Tower, which are the water slides here. I've got on the one on the left. It actually has come down here. I've got a little bit of a light sprinkle on there, actually quite wet, really, for just a little water slide. because they're not really like rides you get wet on, but this one, yeah, got actually a little bit of a quite wet with a little light sprinkle on there, but yeah, it was a really long queue for this because it goes right to the bottom of the stairs, and then it's quite a short ride, but I enjoyed the actual water slide because I got quite wet on it, but it's just not a very long experience for a long queue. But yeah, it's just a nice little water slide, and it's actually really warm today, so it's nice to get a bit of a light sprinkle to get quite wet on this. I've just come off the paraglider in the Lost Kingdom, the Lost World. It's quite a nice little chair swing, this one, just swinging out. There's not really much force on this one. You just kind of swing out and get to look over at the rest of the themed area. So it was a lot more relaxing, that one. But yeah, so it just sort of swings out and you get to see the views over the Lost World themed area, like the gyrosaur and the T-Rex tower, which is just next to it.
Welcome to Apache Falls. Please remain seated for the duration of the ride. Please keep your hands, arms and legs inside the boat at all times. Thank you for your attention. Enjoy the ride.
We've just come off of Apache Falls, back in the Wild West themed area. And it was absolutely fantastic. That was really, I actually got soaked on it. So yeah, basically, so you come around, you get to the top of the lift hill, you come around this little helix, but there's a left turn before the helix, and as you're going from that left turn to the helix, it's a really sharp sort of transition, and this wave of water came over me and just got me absolutely soaked. Come down the helix, it's a little drop. You do get a little bit of a light sprinkle at the bottom of the drop because you pick up a bit of speed around there. But then you've got these little sort of waves, and one of those sort of down the straight piece of track, because it just jerks you to the one side. The waves just get you absolutely soaked, depending on which side you're sitting on. And then there's also a wave near the end where you just sort of bank around, which also I only got a light sprinkle from that, but yeah, absolutely fantastic rapids. And you don't normally get that wet on a rapids, but this one, I got absolutely soaked on this one. And it's really nicely themed with all the wooden support structure that's been added to it. It's actually built in-house by Sheffield Steel as well, this one. So it's quite unique. And it's also got all those custom support structures which make it a lot more immersive, because it is a really nicely themed area in the Wild West area. I've just come off of Car Fari, the vintage cars here. There's not that much to look at on there, apart from obviously the little car that's been sort of painted up like an insect over there. Obviously outside you've got these little garages with vintage cars inside, which is really nice. It's quite unique as well for a theme park to have these vintage cars inside here, but you get to go around the back of the Gears themed area and see the sheep and the ponies are right around the back, which is really nice. It's just a nice relaxing car ride, and the fact you get 2 laps on there is pretty good as well, because they sort of send all of them at once. There is a little bit of a jolt at the end when you stop, but they just sort of send one, and then it's a bit of a chain reaction out of the station, and that makes it so you can do 2 laps. So it's really, really good little vintage cars ride. And the fact you get to see the animals, and they've also got the little garages around the area. I quite enjoyed that.
Foot on the accelerator when you're ready.
I've just had a ride on Dodge City in the Gears area. There's a good dodgems, that, quite whippy. Some of the bumps I got on there, and also there's a long cycle on there to get chances to get some bumps on there, and quite whippy. And the cars are really fast on there as well. It's only a small actual area. With the dodgems, it's only like a small sort of course that you can drive through, but then the cars are actually really fast, so there's plenty of chances for interactions. So that was really good fun. That there's another ride in the Gears area. Gonna hopefully get a ride on Grand Prix races on the back row now, because it broke down just, and it's back open now. I did the dodgems because Grand Prix races broke down, but now I'm going to try and get on Grand Prix races on the back row after Dodge City. I've just come off of the Zamperla Rocket and Tug here, opposite the Wriggler in the Toy Town themed area. It's quite a lightly themed area, but I do quite like the sort of nautical theme. This has got, it's even got like rubber ducks as well, and this little reservoir underneath the ride. But that was quite nice, quite a nice breeze on there, and it is quite relaxing. These are family rides, you're not really going to get much force on them, but it was quite fun, quite a fun experience. I think I even got a little floaty sensation over the top, and it does spin both ways as well, which is really good fun. And it's just another flat ride here. There's quite a few flat rides at this park, which is really good as well. I've just come off of the barrel ride, Blackbeard's Barrels, and the Ghostly Galleon, which are the barrel ride and the pirate ship. The barrel ride I got a pretty decent spin on there, and it does go both ways. Neither of these two rides were they were both quite a long cycle, but not too long of a cycle on them. But yeah, the barrels, nice that it went both ways, so you got the 2 different parts of the cycle. I even did the spinning one way when it went the one way, and then when it stopped and changed direction, I actually changed the direction of the spinning of the barrel as well. So that was quite fun, decent spin. And then the Ghostly Galleon, pretty good pirate ship, because it's actually it doesn't go the steepest, this one, but I actually got some decent floater airtime on it. I was on the back because I did the barrels first and then timed it perfectly so I could get onto the back of the pirate ship. So that was really good. Again, not too long of a cycle, but still quite a few moments of floater airtime I thought on that. So yeah, 2 rides in Smuggler's Wharf, the pirate themed area over here. I've just come off of the Lost World little jeep ride over here. It's quite fun. You go around a little track there and you've got like some dinosaur theming. There's also some rock work that's nicely painted up around the back of the ride area. So yeah, it was a nice little sort of relaxing ride around there. But there's quite a bit of theming, like the big plants and dinosaurs to see as you're going round on there. I've just come off of the Ferris wheel here in the Toyland themed area. It's actually a decent size, this, and it does feel a lot taller when you're on it because the views you get all the way down the valley, which is fantastic. The actual ride vehicles are quite big in there as well. They're quite spacious in there. You get to sort of take in the views of all the other rides over here. In the Toyland area. It's right next to the Wriggler, the Caterpillar. It's quite, because it's a decent size, it is quite a slow moving Ferris wheel, so you only get 2 goes round on there, but it's still actually quite a long cycle, even though it is only 2 laps on there, because it is quite a decent size, so it does take a while to get round, and you get quite a bit of time at the top to sort of take in the views as well. I've just come off of the T-Rex Tower, and finally I actually got onto the tube slide at the back, which they realised how much demand there was for it. So there was sort of formed two separate queues, left for the tube and then right for the normal slide, which I got on earlier. The tube one was absolutely fantastic because you really build up some speed as you go down. And as you actually enter the tube, the banking's crazy on it. Like, you really just get whipped from side to side as you actually enter the tube. It's quite intense. It's definitely worth it. It was a shorter queue because when I went on it the first time, there was only one operator on it, whereas the last couple of times there was two, and it definitely helped the fact that I could get onto this tube slide because it's a lot more intense with how much you're banking and getting sort of whipped from one side to the other. And I think you come out the end a lot quicker as well, because I definitely went further up the AstroTurf at the end as well. Definitely worth it, and it's a lot better on this tube slide because of how whippy it is. And that wraps up my day at Gulliver's Valley. It's actually been really, really good here, and some fantastic rides. Grand Prix races 3 times. Definitely better on the back, but it was nice doing it on the front as well. The rapids getting pretty wet on there as that wave sort of splashes over you. That was the longest queue of the day, and also T-Rex Tower. I was glad to get on both of the different slides on T-Rex Tower because there was a lot of demand for the tube slide on there. But the other 2 coasters as well, the Caterpillar's definitely the smoothest, I'd say. The Minnie Mouse, Rocky Ridge Railway, that was also pretty good. You get a little bit of lateral at the end of that as well. And then you've also got obviously Grand Prix races where you get quite a bit of force on the back row, and you also get whipped up into that upwards bank turn, which is fantastic. We've got the little car rides, the dinosaur jeeps, and the car fari as well, which are just nice scenic car rides. There's the dart ride, Tombstone Mine, a lot of different skeletons and bits of theming actually inside. And the carousel I did first. That was also a nice traditional ride here, right in the centre of the park. Along with that, the rocking tug, the Ferris wheel. There's a lot of different flat rides here, which is fantastic. The barrels and the pirate ship as well, the Ghostly Galleon. They were both pretty good. The barrels got spinning pretty fast. The Ghostly Galleon had some good floater sort of air time on it. With the sensations on there. A gyrosaur, main thrill ride at the park. Hang time's crazy. I think I'd say probably my second ride on it had a little bit more force, as it probably warmed up over the day. But the hang time's the main thing about that, and you really hang time, you do feel that you are fully inverted on there because of the hang time. You get pushed into the restraint because the restraints are quite open on there as well, so you sort of, as it goes vertical, you either get pushed back into your seat or pushed forward sort of into the restraint. So that was really good. The little dinosaur boat ride, there's quite a bit of movement with the animatronics on that. And it's just got a really nice atmosphere because even though it is a Saturday, it's really nice weather. There's quite a lot of people here, so it's got a nice atmosphere. But I've only really had to queue for a couple of the rides. Everything else has pretty much been walk on, which is great. That's it. It's a good atmosphere. It's like perfect balance. It's got the good atmosphere, but no real major queues. I've managed to get on all the major rides here as well. I did also get some merchandise from here. That's a fridge magnet, a Lost World fridge magnet, the dinosaur theming. It's embossed as well, and it's got the Gulliver's logo on it, some dinosaurs, and the Lost World logo.